So, good morning, all of you. So, yesterday we discussed a few concepts that are basic in R programming. Today we shall extend our discussion. So, we'll start with creating functions. Okay, so functions can be created in R, and it is in the functions that most of the processing will happen. And to develop a modular approach, we need functions. So it is functions due to which the programming uh, has been a bit easy to maintain. Uh, Wherever you need updations in program, so you can just inject a function and just get the task done. So here we shall see how functions can be utilized. So function in R can be created like this. So it's a bit different. So first we can write the name of the function. So we shall give a name, function name, then followed by this operator, similar to the assignment operator which we saw yesterday. Then followed by the function keyword, opening braces, um, yeah, function followed by this empty parenthesis we should write. So then the flower braces should open. So inside this, we can do the processing. So we can uh, print like this, and if we want, we can do the uh, computations. Let us declare some variables like this, and then we can perform the uh, addition operation like this, and then let us inject few more print statement. So we shall print y with y is equal to this, and print, yeah, instead of two uh, print statements we can just write we would have written a paste statement, and then finally we can close the braces. So now a function is created. So I can observe in the environment window, let me pull it. You can observe the function has been added over here, the function name. Okay, when I click, only the function has opened over here, uh, and it is getting added in the environment. Okay, so and the command that is added is the view function name, view followed by the function name. So this is the command, view function name. So it has opened because our function name is function. Now if we want to call this function, so it is similar to other languages. So just give the function name followed by the braces. So it will print the messages. So you can observe it over here. So it has printed the function called y is equal to 84. So like this, 50 plus 34, 84. So this is how functions can be created and called. So calling a function is similar to all other languages. So whereas declaring a function, that is different because the typical assignment operator has to be used. Then we can pass the arguments also. So let us write a addition function. Here we need to pass the values. So let us pass two values, a and b, followed by the braces. Then here we can have sum is equal to a plus b. Then we can print sum, or you can just print it, close the parenthesis. Now we can call this add function by passing the values like this. So it has printed 70. So what if we don't pass the parameters? Then what happens? So it is saying that the arguments are missing and there are no default values. So which means we can assign the default values also for the parameters. Okay, so function must be called with correct number of arguments. Okay, so if the function is expecting two arguments, so we must pass two arguments only. So nothing less and nothing more. So suppose if you want default value, so we can assign that also. So in order to assign the default values, yeah, in the same function, if we want to modify, so we shall open that add method like this. So here we can assign the value. So it is read only. Okay, it is currently read only. So what we can do is we can put a is equal to operator. So just like this. Okay, so let me write it. So add function the same way we'll write the function keyword. So here what we can do is we can put a is equal to operator. Even if it is a string, we can put is equal to and write the default value in the double quotes. Okay, so that is how default values or default parameters work. And these functions can return the values also. But here there is a small difference. So let us take an example. So return, it is a function. Okay, so it is a function that provides the mechanism for returning the values. Okay, so we can write it as a function itself. Okay, so yeah, we can write so paste, we shall put that a comma b. Now we shall call add func. So this function has written 50 str. So what we have written is a concatenation of a and b, and we have not passed the values for a and b. Suppose if we had passed the value for this add method, so it will print whatever values we have passed. So We can write nested functions also. So nested functions can be created in two ways. So we can call a function within another function, or we can write a function within another function. So both are allowed. So in many languages, writing a function within a function is not allowed. Whereas in R, so we can write a function, one function within another function. Okay, so but what the thing is, we cannot directly call the function that is the inner function, because inner function has been defined in the, as a nested function in the outer function. So first what we need to do is we need to call the outer function in order to call the inner function as a second step. So we need to create a variable and then we have to call it. So inner function will be called based on a variable. So again, in R, recursion is also allowed. So recursion means, a function which calls itself. So recursion is a common mathematical and programming concept where a function calls itself. So the benefit of having recursion is we can loop through data to reach a result. Um, when creating a recursion, one must be very careful because we may enter into an infinite you know calling of functions which doesn't terminate, and excess use of recursion will lead to excess memory usage, and computing resources will be dedicated for that purpose. So these are quite basics about the functions in R programming. So R programming language, supports global variables also. So any variable that is declared outside a function is a global variable. Or if we say in reverse, so a variable that is declared inside a function is a local variable, and that can be used in that particular function only. Suppose if you want to use a global variable inside a function, then we have to use this operator, so which we discussed yesterday. So this particular operator has to be used. So global variable is one that we declare outside, and these global variables can be used inside a function also. But when we use a global variable, we have to use this particular symbol. So using this particular assignment operator is a way to tell the environment that this particular variable is a global variable. So if we don't use this a double less than operator, then it indicates that it is a local variable. So it is a way to distinguish whether we are dealing with a global variable or local variable. So then we shall discuss a very important concept, that is the vector. So that is vectors. So vector is simply a list of items of same type. List of items, or you can, in other language you can call an array. It is similar to an array. So to combine the list of items to a vector, we use a function. So the items are separated by the comma. So for example, let us list. So if you want to create a list of courses, or courses. So we'll use the same assignment operator. So in order to create a vector, what we have to do, we have to use this C followed by open and close parenthesis. So this C function, it indicates we are creating a vector, and the elements of a vector we can specify inside this parenthesis. So just like this. So let us data structures or data science, then machine learning or DBMS, CN, like this. So a vector has been created. So now if we try to print it, so it will print a list, that is DSML, and so all the elements will be printed. So remember, whenever we specify elements in a vector, they must be same type. If we don't specify them as a same type, then automatically it will convert. So we can create um, a vector of numerical values also. So numerical values will appear without quotes. So we have vector. Another way to create a vector is using of colon. So which we discussed yesterday also, like this 5 to 9. So now if I print, so it will print 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can similarly create, decimal um, vector also, but there is a difference. The difference is this one: 5.1, 6.1, 7.1, 8.1, and 9.1. So like this. So we can create vectors of logical values also. So true, false also we can specify. Now suppose if we want to know the number of elements in a vector, then we have to use length of this. So length of the length operator can be utilized. So we can sort a vector also. Okay. Suppose if you want to sort course, yeah, sort course. So it has been now sorted. So ML was in the second position. Now it is in the last. So sorting can be done on vectors. Now if you want to access the specific element of a vector, then we can use the traditional square braces. So course of 2, it is showing as ML, because in sort it has displayed the sorted result, but it has not changed the actual vector. So according to the actual vector, the one that is there in the second index is ML. Okay. So here indexing will start with 1. Okay. So unlike other languages where indexing will start with 0, here it starts with 1. And we can access multiple elements by referring to the index position, again with the use of C, like this. So instead of 2, I can specify like this: 2, 2 to 4. So multiple index are fetched now. So ML and CN are fetched. So it is the second element and the fourth element are extracted. So we can use the negative index numbers to access all the elements except the one that we have specified. For example, so instead of 2, if I give -2, so you can observe the 3 elements are there except ML. So because ML was in the second position. So -2 indicates to ignore the second position and all other index positions will be printed as a result. And we can change any one element of this particular index. Suppose if we want to change like second index like this. So again we can use this particular operator and we can change. So now the ML has been changed to OS. We can just simply print it. So you can observe it as OS. In place of ML we have OS. We can repeat the vectors also. So repeat can be used using REP method. Okay. So let us declare a variable. So here we will use REP. Course is a vector, and we will repeat it. Let us say 3 times. Okay. So now let me print REP. So you can observe. So the entire vector has been repeated 3 times. Okay, so DS 3 times, OS 3 times, then DBMS, then CN. So this is repetition. So that will repeat each value. Okay, so each value is repeated 3 times. Now suppose we don't want the result to be like this. So what happened here is the DS, all the 3 are together. So instead we want first entire vector, then the second time vector will print. So in place of each, so we have to give times. So now you can observe it as DS, OS, DBMS, CN, then again DS will start. So it is times and each. So each indicates each element is repeated. Times means the entire vector is getting repeated. And we can also repeat each value independently. So we can generate the sequence. So the first way we discussed to generate a sequence was like this. Sequence 1 is equal to 1 to 100. So this will generate the sequence from 1 to 100. But here if you observe, each one of them is incremented by 1. Now suppose we don't want this increment to happen by 1, then we can specify what is that step. So for that there is a function that is sequence seq. We have to write from where to start, 1 till what, till 100, and what is the step. So that is specified using by is equal to, let us say, 5. So now what happened, so it is incremented by 5, 1, 11, 16, 20, like that till 96. So the sequence is incremented by 5. So from, to, and by. So that has to be specified. So similar to vectors, so we can also have a concept called as list. So a list in this R programming language can contain different data types inside it. So whereas a vector, one more, in vector, what happens when we define like this? Let us different. Let us put different data types. So number is there, uh, string is there, then Boolean value is there. So, but still vector gets created. You can observe. But when we print the vector, you can see everything is a string. So it is present inside the double quotes, which means the conversion has happened. So these variables are getting converted as strings. Now let us change this. So I have written 1, 2 is written in the double quotes, and then 3. Now again everything is converted to string. So finally what happens is in a vector all the elements should be of same type. So if even if you don't specify all of them in a same type, so it gets converted. Now if we don't want such conversion to happen, then we have another data structure, that is list. So what we can do is instead of C, we can write list. Okay. So we can create a list. So here you can observe the data types are retained 1, 2 and 3. But you can observe the change in index positions. So a list is a collection of data which is ordered and we can change it. And we can access the elements of a list in a same way, just like writing the index like this. So sequence of 1. So it has printed 1. So and we can change the value similar to vectors. Then same length method can be used to find the number of elements in the list. Then one more is if we want to check whether an element or item is present in the list or not, so we can use the sum operator, so which we discussed in yesterday's class. So that operator is, suppose I want to find whether this 2 is present in the list or not. So for that we have to use this percentage symbol in another percentage, then followed by the list suq1. So it has printed true. So percentage in percentage. So 2 is present in sequence. Now if I print whether 3 is there, 3 is also there in the list. Then let us try with 4. So 4 is not present. So 3 as a string we have sent, but actually integer 3 is present in the list, so it has printed true. And we can add elements to the list using the method that is append. So append, we have to give the list name, that is sequence 1. So let us add another method with the value 4. So 4 gets added and you can observe 1, 2, 3, 4 is there. And when an element is added, so by default it gets added at the end. Suppose if you want to control where it gets added, suppose now if I want to add 5, so what I can do is I can write one more, that is after is equal to 3. Now this element gets added after the element 3. So and we can remove the elements. So by by passing a negative index. If you pass the negative index, so it gets uh, deleted. Let us declare once again like this. So let us declare a list. What we can do is we can create a new list with list of -2. Yeah, we can give like this. Instead of list, it has to be the name of the list, that is sequence 1. Now let us print sequence 2. If you observe, the element 2 is not present in the list, so it is deleted. So we can also print the range just like how we print in vectors. So we can loop over all the elements in the for. So for that, for x in sequence 1, then followed by the flower braces, print x. So we can print the value of x, close the braces. So it has printed all the elements. So it is iterating over all the elements of that particular list. So we can join the list. Okay, there are several ways to join or concatenate the list. So the common way to use of method C. Suppose if we want to let us create a new sequence 3 with this. So we can use the same method C. So sequence 1 comma sequence 2. Now let us print. So all the elements are there. So C function can be used to create a vector or concatenate the lists. So matrix can also be specified. So matrix is a two-dimensional data with columns and rows. So a matrix can be created using a method like this. So matrix, name of the matrix followed by the keyword matrix function, then a list. We are specifying a vector. The elements we are specifying, and number of rows and columns we are specifying. N row indicates the number of rows and n column indicates number of columns. So now 3 rows, 2 columns matrix will be created. So if you want to print it, so this matrix, so it has printed them in a 3 rows, we have 2 columns. So the elements that we specify, so it is in column wise. So 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3 has come in this way. Now if you want to reverse it, so we can reverse it also. So number of rows we can make 2 and number of columns we can make 3 also. So that's just by changing these, so we can specify. So we can make it 3, 2. So now if you print, so the elements are like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can create a matrix with strings also. So here we have used the number, so we can use strings. So in order to access a matrix, so we need the square brackets where we need to specify the row and column position. Suppose in this particular matrix, so first row, second column. So 1 comma 2, the element is 3. So this in the output 1 comma indicates it is a first row. So and this one indicates it is a second row. So 1 comma 2 means 1 comma 2 is element is 3. So we can have more than one row. So in order to access more than one row, so we can write a command like this. C so C of 1 comma 2, and in the column we can leave it blank. So we can observe over here, or we can write only 2 rows were there. The same we will put it for the columns like this. So you can observe only 2 columns are there. So last one is there. So this is a way to access where we can access multiple columns or multiple rows. So using this C, and here in the C we are specifying the starting and ending. So similar to this we can add rows and columns. So using the cbind method. So cbind method can be used to add a row or column. So cbind indicates it is a column binding and rbind indicates it is a row binding. So we can create it. So using a new matrix. So let us create a new matrix. So let us call it as new matrix. So method is cbind this matrix. So we are adding 3 more elements. Okay, the number of rows is not matching. Okay, only 2 columns we have, but here we have specified 3. So yeah, one we will remove. Now a column is bound. So if we print this new matrix now, so you can observe 4th column is added. So cbind means column binding. So adding a column. Suppose if we want to add a row, we can use rbind. Okay, so instead of cbind, so we can put rbind. So we can remove rows, columns. Okay. So we can print the a dimension of the matrix, and we can verify whether a particular element is present in a matrix or not using percentage in percentage operator. So we can use length matrix to find its a dimension, so that we can use over here. So length, so length of matrix, that is new matrix. So it has printed 8. So it is a multiplication of rows and columns. Okay. So we have few more things so left. So we'll discuss them in our next class. So you can enter your attendance in the chat window and exit for today.